you say that you smelled marijuana from the car. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you thought it was a DUI.
Yes, ma'am.
During the search, you found a bottle of alcohol, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was found in a pouch on the front of the driver's seat?
Yes, ma'am.
And the bottle you found in that pouch was 20-gram vodka, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was a smaller bottle.
Yes, ma'am.
When you found the bottle, you took it out. You put the bottle on the seat.
Yes, ma'am.
And you continue then to search the car.
Yes.
During that search, you didn't find any marijuana.
No, ma'am.
You didn't find any joints.
No, ma'am.
You didn't find any paraphernalia.
No, ma'am.
You didn't find any evidence of marijuana besides a smell.
Yes, ma'am.
Before finishing the search, you went back to that 20-gram bottle that you left on the driver's seat.
Yes, ma'am.
And you picked up that bottle.
Yes, ma'am.
You opened that bottle.
Yes, ma'am.
That bottle was sealed before you opened it.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you twisted the top of the bottle.
Yes, ma'am.
And you broke the seal.
Yes, ma'am.
And after you opened it, you dumped out the contents.
Yes, ma'am.
You dumped it onto the road.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you put the top back onto the bottle.
Yes.
And then you put the bottle back into the car.
Yes, ma'am.
You threw it on the passenger side.
I did.
And has that always been your testimony?
Everything that you just asked. I did not know that I opened the bottle in my original testimony.
At a pretrial hearing, you swore to tell the truth, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you testified that you didn't unseal it.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Yes.
So, at that time, that was a lie.
Unknowingly, yes.
But now, you know that you did unseal it because you had the chance to watch your body-worn camera.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Officer Muth was the other officer with you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
She also conducted the search of the vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
And as we keep reiterating, you've previously done a deposition, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And during that deposition, you swore to tell the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Has it always been your testimony that Officer Muth also searched the car?
I told you at the time I did not remember her searching the vehicle.
So, Officer Muth wasn't there when you opened the bottle.
No, ma'am.
And officers rely on each other to write reports.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's because not every officer sees everything.
Correct.
And not every officer writes a report.
Correct.
Usually there's a primary officer.
Yes, ma'am.
And they're the ones who write the primary report.
Yes, ma'am.
In this case, Officer Muth was the officer who wrote the primary report.
Correct.
And you told Officer Muth about the bottle.
Yes, ma'am.
And you told her that because she was the primary officer.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she'd be writing the report.
Yes, ma'am.
And you told her about the bottle because you were using it as evidence.
I told her that there was a bottle of vodka found in the vehicle.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I told her that I found a bottle of vodka in the driver's seat. Now, whether she used it or not as evidence, that was up to her.
But she only knows anything about that bottle because of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
So her entire knowledge of that bottle is based on what you told her.
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
Yes, ma'am.
And an open liquor bottle found inside the car within reach of the driver would be a big indicator for a DUI, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you told Officer Muth that bottle was open.
No.
Has that always been your testimony?
I don't remember.
You did a deposition, correct?
I did.
You swore to tell the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
In that deposition, did you say something different?
I don't remember what I said about that.
Would seeing a copy of the deposition refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you previously testify that you didn't remember your exact phrasing?
Correct.
But previously, you didn't deny telling her that it was open.
No, because I couldn't remember.
But you agree that she would only know that from you.
Yes, ma'am.
I withdraw my objection.
And like you said, she put that in her report.
She put an opened bottle, correct?
And she put that in her report because it was evidence.
I can't say why she put it in her report.
The report says that there's an open bottle, which she knows because of you. Correct?
Maybe.
Did you not testify earlier that the only way she would have known that it was open was from you?
Either what I said or what she assumed.
You previously testified under oath that the only way Officer Muth would have known that there was an open bottle is because you would have told her that it was open.
If it was said to her, then yes, it would have been me.
And you would agree that an empty bottle would be evidence of a DUI.
Yes.
And that's an open bottle that you created.
Yes.
You're the one who made it an open bottle.
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
Yes.
So you're the one who created the big evidence of the DUI.
I don't know if she used it as evidence.
In the car, you also found an insulated mug, correct?
Correct.
And that was in the cup holder?
Yes, ma'am.
And you claimed that you smelled alcohol in the cup.
Yes, ma'am.
But you didn't test the contents of the cup.
No, ma'am.
And you didn't dump out the contents of the cup.
No, ma'am.
You just dumped out the contents of the sealed vodka bottle.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a policy of TPD that body cameras are on during entire and criminal investigations, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
This was a criminal investigation.
Yes, ma'am.
But you didn't have it on for the entirety of the investigation.
Yes, I did.
That's your testimony here today, that you had it on for the entirety of the investigation.
For the criminal portion of the investigation, yes.
But you turned off your body-worn camera before you left the scene.
Yes.
It was off while you continued to do things on the scene.
Correct.
It was off while you continued to handle evidence, correct?
I don't know what evidence you're talking about.
It was off while you were dealing with towing the car, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You had it off while you were dealing with the car that you're claiming was full of evidence of a DUI.
Yes, ma'am.
And after you turned off your camera, you were still speaking with Officer Muth and Sergeant Smith about the case, correct?
If I remember correctly, yes.
But your body-worn camera was off at that point,
Yes, ma'am.
despite discussing important things about the investigation.
I was no longer with the defendant, so the criminal investigation was over for me.
Evidence isn't part of the criminal investigation,
It is.
and handling evidence is part of a criminal investigation.
Again, yes, it is.
And today, you previously testified just moments ago that you didn't have on your body-worn camera while you were towing the car full of evidence.
I did not physically tow the car. I never stepped out of my vehicle. I sat in my vehicle while the car was being towed.
You didn't have your body-worn camera on while you were making sure that the evidence, the big evidence that's in everybody's report, is handled correctly.
Correct.